star 439 hash. And very importantly, wherever you're watching us from, please make sure you share the stream. Let's have some great time. And choose option 2, TV3. And as you watch TV3 New Day, increase the number of tickets you have. I always say that this is a long month for many of us. And those of us who are in the lower end of the spectrum, and we have to pay school fees and all that. Please make sure that you also are part of Cash Out Star 439 hash. You are with Ekwafoho University of Ghana, as where you work. Justice Awute, I wish you all the best for the day. Great guy, as well as the rest of your family. And it was the birthday of Ishira Ajwa Tamaklo, the daughter of lawyer Duji Tamaklo. Yesterday celebrated your birthday. Great young lady. I hope that you grow up and then aspire to be who God has destined you to be. Wishing you all the best as well. And Shahan is my little friend. Shahan Tampuri is celebrating the birthday today. And the sister Rahida, as well as Hajia, the mother, and the rest of the family. Hajia Loratu. Hajia Loratu Saka, a.k.a. Musa Saka. Okay. Hajia Loratu Musa Saka, a.k.a. Mrs. Tampuri. Good morning. Okay. All right. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
There's no day you see me without your mischief going on.
Oh, no, there's no mischief. This new year, whatever you say, I don't know that I do mischief, but...
You started, you have this innocent face when you are being mischievous. And,
old man like me. Have an innocent face.
You try to put up an innocent face when you are at it.
Yes, all right. Anyway,
good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Happy New Year. I think the last time I was here was on Boxing Day.
Yes.
Yes, so Happy New Year.
Yeah, when we had the conversation in the sofa. Yes, I remember as well.
And then I tried reading
that time the transition hadn't happened.
No, that was 26th. Transition was ongoing. Okay. But it was a holiday.
Yes, I remember. The day they read the news. All right. And then also, Ajwa Japoma, I follow her on TikTok a lot. And she's always she's teasing the MPP, or she's putting some policy initiative or policy of the John Mahama administration across. She's here. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine.
You don't look exhausted at all. You didn't attend the party.
I was at the party. I got home at 2 a.m. Yes.
2 a.m. Yes. And you are here again?
Yes.
Great. I'm sure you saw Nanaya Jantwa there. Nanaya, you went to the party yourself as well? You didn't invite Nanaya?
The presidential dinner. Yeah, even I got to hear about the last minute.
After all the mileage that Nanaya gave you. Nanaya, why is John Mahama leaving you out of his administration? This one is friendly fight.
Let me just stay out.
Hey, let me remove my spectacle. You didn't go to the party.
Which party is this one?
I mean, I saw it on social media anyway.
I don't know anything about you.
But
you were not invited.
There were a lot of parties after the inauguration.
Victory parties.
Yeah, like individuals and all of that. So
was JM at that party yesterday?
Yes, he was.
And you left Nanaya out. Nanaya, where is your one?
The name was you're talking about.
All right.
Yeah, being mischievous.
No, it's not. It's just I'll be surprised that Nanaya was not there.
But there are a lot of parties, and all of them. I haven't attended all parties.
That's fine. That's fine. Let's not overemphasize. But please, we know that it's been for the first day of John Dramani Mahama, as well as Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman's administration. They had to deal with an impending issue about shortage of fuel for powering our generation plant, for which, if actions are not taken henceforth for emergency supplies, we could witness. Already we get pockets, even before the transition, of some power cuts localized, so to speak. But yesterday, the morning of yesterday, the warning was given. Should we be concerned about it? Because swiftly, the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, as well as John Dramani Mahama's office himself, they've been meeting a number of stakeholders concerning this that could lead to some crisis, because fuel was not ordered in time ideally, you do that 8 weeks and get it ready for the plant to power those generation plants. And so 4 weeks it has to come in, and then you use another 4 weeks to do the treatment. That's right. That's the technical explanation. But why do we have that? We'll be discussing that. And then any other related matters. There's been some invasions by NDC supporters to some government offices. It's very important we talk about that as well. Why should we be having recurring incidents after each transition from one party that forms the government to the next party that is forming the government? But this is what John Dramani Mahama, the president, did say.
The Achilles heel of Ghana's financial and economic stability is that and blow apart everything that we have achieved, you know, in the last few years. And so how we how we change the systems in the energy sector to make sure that we pay down the debt and make it more efficient than it is currently. Unfortunately, democracy has its dividends, but it also sometimes can be a curse. We left government and a new government took over and took over the Millennium Challenge Compact, mixed up the last segment of it, which was providing efficiency in distribution, billing, metering, and all that. And of course, PDS is history now. But we want to take a look at that again, because if we don't fix the Electricity Company of Ghana, we will continue to have a major problem with our whole power value chain. And so going ahead with privatizing the last point of distribution of electricity to bring in private sector efficiency is something that we want to take up again. We'd like to speak with the World Bank to get the expertise to be able to do that.
Okay.
I spoke to the Americans during my last visit to the US. We met the Millennium Challenge Corporation, and we asked if it was possible for them to reinstate the $190 million that they had devoted to that aspect of it. And they said the door is not closed. And so we need to pursue that discussion.
And so we have a debt crisis, and subsequently also this one rearing its head. What needs to be done? When, if you look at what John Jenapo said, this was discovered after, and they had talked within and been given assurance as a transition team discussions that the procurement will be done, and now that's what we're told. How bad is the situation, Ajoa?
Well, good morning to our viewers and Happy New Year to everybody watching us this morning. Well, and I must say that reading the Gridco report and reading the various reports from the...
Let me just introduce Dr. Susan Eduamankwa. How are you?
I'm very well.
Happy New Year to you.
Many happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you. Please continue.
Yes. Reading the story from the various news outlets, I must say that I was really, disturbed. I was really, really disturbed. This whole issue of the energy crisis and trying to make it look like whenever the NDC is in power, then there will be power crisis or doomsday is disturbing. It's actually a testament of how wicked the past governments have been to this country. And the fact that the past governments, which is the ex-president and his vice, they do not really care about this country. In fact, they just started by trying to, sabotage the government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama even before it started. Because, tell me why. And I read that these issues that we are having to deal with the energy sector stemming from some maintenance that has to be done by WAPCO was supposed to be done October last year, and it was postponed to January, as if they knew they were going to lose the election. Postponed to January, and knowing that by that postponement, we needed to buy fuel to be able to power our thermal plants, they decided also not to make such provision. So for a government that came and inherited a fairly good or a healthy energy ministry, where we had provided power batches, where we had made the necessary, the necessary arrangements for them, even creating ESLA to support the energy sector and everything. You come and while you are leaving, you leave without making provision for the fuel that is needed for powering the thermal plant, knowing very well that you have postponed the maintenance of WAPCO to January this year. So for me, I see it as a clear sabotage, pure and simple. But His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and his government, it's not like the past government. We will not blame Russia-Ukraine war or anything. We are going to put our hands to the wheel and work. And we have seen evidence of that when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama yesterday set up a committee with key stakeholders from the major, power-producing companies to ensure that we find a solution to this problem. Right now, as I sit here, I was looking at some news item. I think that the news I am reading currently is that we are purchasing some gas from Nigeria. I don't know, I'm watching, I think, Adom or something. So I believe that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the team of experts he puts together under the leadership of the Chief Justice, Honorable Julius Deborah, will put their hands to the wheel and then find a solution to this problem. But I am deeply sad by what we are witnessing now.
Okay. There was the transitional discussions.
Yes.
John Jinapo says that they were given assurances. Mm-hmm. If you take a look or make reference to what the outgone Minister for Energy, Mr. Krapper, did put out on Facebook, mm-hmm. he insists that everything was in line. This is certainly not the case. The response from the MPP side is you were sleeping on the job.
How were we sleeping on the job?
Justify
we got the job on 7th January. There's a transition team. But before then, you had made certain provisions, okay? That was what I'm saying, that you had made certain decisions that a maintenance that was supposed to be done last year in October should be pushed forward to January. So definitely, you would know that when the gas lines are being shut down, you will need crude to be able to support the power generation. So you, as a government that is outgoing, even before you go, you were supposed to make such provisions. And like you mentioned, even if we are to call for or to purchase crude, it would take weeks for it to get to Ghana here. And we just got power on 7th January. Their plan was to set us up to fail even before we began. But like I said, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has the perfect pair of hands, and he has all the experts on his side, and he's willing to include all that are willing to help to make sure that we bring a solution to this. We are not going to belabor the points of, blaming people too much. We are going to put our hands on the wheel. But like I said, usually the NPP is a group of people that think Ghanaians do not see through them, or maybe we do not pay attention to the issues around us. Before you set the agenda, we've already seen through you. So we've seen through the agenda and putting out this notes by Mr. Krapper to make it look like they did everything right. But if you did everything right, the fuel should be here by now. Because from 7th to today is 9th. 7th to 9th, when you bring the fuel, it takes weeks. And it's just been 3 days. So why is the fuel not here to help us power our plants?
Lorato, why did you decide to sabotage the John Mahama government? Just like 2 days or 48 days, 48 hours.
Good morning, Roland, once again. Good morning to everyone on the table, and good morning to our viewers. I mean, this is the first time on the set after all that has happened. And I think congratulations are in order for the president and the vice president and all the MPs who have been duly elected to lead a charge for our dear country. So we congratulate them and we wish them well. I mean, any well-meaning Ghanaian will wish them well, because good or bad is Ghana and it's nowhere else. So we wish them well. Roland, that's quite an interesting question to ask. That why is it an interesting question? Why will we sabotage the incoming administration. There's a reason why we have a Transition Act. There's a reason why these things are done. And one thing we all need to note is there's no campaign after election. Once you're voted for to run the affairs of this country, is work and not campaign promises or blame game. We went for an election on the 7th of December. The good people of this country gave the mandate to the NDC, led by the current president, that the promises, the things they said, was what resounded with them. There was a transition committee that was put together that has been going through all these things. So it would be ridiculous for anybody to say that the immediate past administration wanted to sabotage this.
Why not? Or why can't that conclusion be made, Laura?
What were the conversations that were had? I'm just seeing the WAPCO, the Gridco report
on
WAPCO. And I think they gave 3 recommendations as to what can be done for the way forward. And one of it is rescheduling the maintenance. It's a possibility. It's a matter of planning. Maintenance had to be done, it was postponed based on a request by the Energy Ministry. We need to eschew that appetite of trying to court unwarranted sympathy.
What do you mean by that?
When we come into government and do what we've promised the people of Ghana to do. We are not dealing with an administration that is new to the happenings of this country. This is an administration that has gone through transition, unless these conversations and these reports didn't come up at the transition.
John Jinapor says this came up. The assurance was given by the outgoing government that the procurement will be initiated. The processes for procurement will be initiated. By industry standards, you do the procurement and then the delivery is done in 4 weeks.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But wasn't there
and then when it comes the 4th week, they spend another 4 weeks to be able to get it to the plant.
Wasn't there a directive to hold on to all procurements when the transition started? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Again, I'll reiterate what
Yes.
John Jinapor said,
Yes.
a former deputy energy minister. The assurance was given by the outgoing government
Yes.
that the processes for purchasing will be initiated. Apparently, it was not done. What's the explanation?
And can you reiterate what the immediate past energy minister also said?
He says that it is available, they should check. But the checks did indicate.
And you believe,
yesterday at the meeting, there was...
You believe Herbert Crapper.
Okay, so apart from John Jinapor also insisting this is an emergency, there were Gridco officials who were in a meeting that was chaired, and we covered it live, by the chief of Sajulos, Deborah. And they did indicate this was a crisis because the purchases had not been done. You know, Gridco cannot do purchases. They're just the transmitter.
What I'm saying is, you are reiterating what John Jinapor said.
Yes.
And I'm saying that what Herbert Crapper said, you don't believe it. You believe what John Jinapor is saying as against the immediate past minister. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. So John Jinapor has his version, and then we have the former energy minister also having his version.
Yes.
The reality is that the stakeholders at the meeting with the chief of staff yesterday, that's the first day of the new government, admits that we don't have the crude or the purchases made.
And
so I'll take the stakeholders.
And there are recommendations to it.
Recommendations to what?
The story I read.
Because the purchases have not been made. The fact is, the purchases have not been made. We don't have crude.
Aparo, we need to be clear and just be open in some of these
Why
things.
did you do that to the government?
Nobody did anything to the government.
It clearly shows that was done.
Reiterate what the former energy minister also said.
Is it sabotage?
How can this be sabotage? Why? Don't we live in this country? Who comes into this government? So why was the transition process carried on? Why would anybody want to do that? You believe what John Jinapor said. You don't believe what Herbert Kwapa, who was at the helm of affairs.
Until I listened to the stakeholders, Gridco and the officials
and
there,
the report,
I only put out what John Jinapor said. Kwapa also said. Basically, I listened to the stakeholders who are the industry players as well as those who do the transmission, etc. And they said what the former energy minister said does not exist.
John just raised caused panic and fear, for lack of a better description. He said what? We have only what? 5 hours of what left. Turns around and the committee is chaired for him to chair it. Look, let's be very fair. There's no campaign after election. The energy minister has put out what the situation is. Crisis when it comes to power and those things. We can't say that for the 8 years that the New Patriotic Party was in power, lights never went off. There were intermittent power cuts, but not to the magnitude of what we knew post-2017. Fast forward, we've gone for an election. There's a new administration. There was a transition process. What is the new administration supposed to do? Fix what the situation is. In the last address of the now majority leader, then minority leader, said what? They gave advice. They knew all the issues in this country. They knew all the solutions. They spoke to the people of, they spoke to the government. The government didn't listen. They know how to fix it. Fix it. And stop all this trying to play to the gallery and trying to play the victim. Why would anybody want to sabotage the Republic of Ghana? If they have evidence to the fact that someone set out to sabotage this government, let's put it there and stop all these mind games. The report comes and gives, there's a problem, yes. What is the way forward? Is it a possibility to postpone the maintenance exercise? What are the options and all those things that they gave all those things in the report? What are we doing about it? That is what the new administration should be telling us. Not telling us that someone is trying to sabotage. If there is evidence that anybody is sabotaging this administration, they should put it out there. Elections are over. Let's stop all these petty mind games and these things. And let's face the issue. If there's no light, will you sleep? If there's darkness, will you sleep in light? Will I sleep in light? Are we not all Ghanaians? Is elections not over? Then fix it and stop all these petty mind games.
Dr. Namankwa, how curious is it then that purchases that are supposed to be made way back in time to be used to power the plants, for light to be generated, subsequently transmitted and distributed, is not available? Now, at the end of the day, there cannot be no conclusion that is on sabotage?
Well, I will not go on sabotage at all.
What would you call it, Dr. Susan Edouard Mankwa?
Mismanagement and people who didn't know how to manage this country, and we gave it to them, and they have continuously proved to us that they didn't know how to manage this government, this country. And so for me, it's not surprising, because I'm looking at Herbert Krampa's, message, and he says, by the time of leaving office, President Akufo-Addo's government left in stock light crude oil, which Sen Power currently generates with, and whilst AKSA continues to take delivery of heavy fuel oil, which generates power with how much? Because it could have been a teaspoon. I mean, he could have been much more specific. They may have left something because the lights are still on, okay? So they may have left something, but how much did they leave? Is it enough to give the new administration, how would I put it, some level of comfort, so that they can then, now begin to do purchases? You understand? Because what they should have left should have been maybe enough to cover for 2 months, and then it gives the new government time to get into the groove and then cover for the rest of their term. So how much did they leave? That's what we want to know. Because yes, because they may have left something, but it may not be enough, and that is why we have this looming crisis. Yesterday there were parts of Sakumono that were off.
Really?
Yes. I mean, there were whole swathes of darkness in certain parts.
Power cuts?
I don't know whether power cuts, but there was darkness. There were no lights. So obviously there was no power, you understand, in places. I know people who complained of Adenta on the 7th of January, who were complaining that they were unable to watch the inauguration because there was no light in Adenta and certain other places in Accra. And I'm sure if you call, your listeners will testify to that. You understand? So we know that the previous government, didn't know how to handle this government, this country, and mismanaged it. Because look, when you're handing over to somebody and you know what you're about, you hand over enough. You understand? For the person then to come and get into a groove. Maybe what this gives a case for us to move our elections to November. So that we can have.
You think the solution is to move the elections to November as a result of that?
Yeah, I mean, no. We should learn. When we get experiences like this, we should learn. I'm not talking about as a solution to our energy crisis. I'm talking about a long-term solution to some of these.
To give enough time for transition.
To give enough time for transition. You understand? Because these are some of the experiences that we get out of situations like this, okay? And these are lessons we must learn and put measures into place. So I think that this government has been talking about constitutional reform. One of the things that we should really look at is shifting our election date maybe to November, so that some of these problems can be resolved. If it takes 8 weeks to do something, yes, 8 weeks, then we have the 8 weeks to do that. One of the things also that we need to look at, and I'm looking also in terms of long term, is that there should be truthful and openness in the transition, and there should be time to verify. Yes, you will trust, but you must verify, because it looks as if the NDC just trusted. I'm surprised that the NDC were so naive to trust the MPP to think that anything that the MPP said was truthful. I'm shocked at such naivety.
You mean they should have distrusted them from the beginning?
Yes, they should have distrusted them, that they have no love for this country.
People should be able to speak with faith.
But you verify. So they can trust that what they've said, okay, you've said this, okay, we trust you, but we will do our checks to ensure that you are speaking the truth. You understand? We've had 8 years of the MPP. We know how they are. Okay, and what kind of character they have shown us as a country. So they say something, you take it with a pinch of salt and you go ahead. If you go and it is like that, sure, good, that's nice. If you go and it is not so, then you correct it. You understand? So my thing is that I think that the NDC have not what do you call it? I don't know why they trusted the MPP, because when they said that they had flight crew, they should have asked for how much. How long will it take? What is the listen?
John Jinapor said they asked. And they say, then kickstart the processes of purchase. They said they did. That's what John Jinapor says. And this has been confirmed by the industry people at that meeting yesterday with Julius Debra, the chief of staff, that apparently nothing has been done.
Yeah, so why did they trust that the people who do it? I mean, why did they trust them?
But you have a minister of state.
Stop it. So right now, we have seen that what they said was not true. Anna. I mean, we are living it. Why are we having this discussion in the first place? If they left enough to cover the whole of January, or to cover enough for the 8 weeks that it takes to get a new supply, I have said in the first place, one, the MPP did not manage this country well. Because, look, we all know how to do stock taking. You have a minimum stock of things that makes sure that you don't have breaks in your transmission or whatever. You understand? You know that it takes 8 weeks. If you start purchasing things in January, you end up in February or even in March before it comes. They should have started purchasing somewhere in November, okay, or October. You understand? Ideally, they didn't do that. You people came into government on the 7th of December. You know that they didn't do it. You understand? Or they said they had done it. You didn't cross-check to see that they said they had done it. You should have cross-checked. So, as much as we can, cite that the MPP did not do as they said they would do, I think that the NTC also was too naive to believe what they said and have played into their hands. Okay. You understand? And then all of us suffer. You get it. But
why should it be the NDC's fault when you have a Minister of State? Because who manages the Energy Minister?
Hey, Papa Ro.
So Papa Ro, the thing is...
Why should it be? I don't understand. You explain this better for me, Dr.
I am saying that the NDC should not have trusted what the MPP said, and they should have verified. But what will you do? Well, I mean, do what you have to do right now to resolve it. I think that we have been in this energy crisis before. We should have learned certain lessons that do it. We need to categorize the places that are emergency. How can we continuously supply them? Then the places that are not so emergency, what can we do till this thing? That is why we have a crisis management team, and the crisis management team is supposed to look at it. Industry. Can we get industry to have maybe go on 50% power thing so that they never go off? So they should bring their power to a certain point so that they can keep production and never go off, but maybe use 50% of the power that they require. You understand? Then other places, hospitals, this. Let's start putting that into place. Of course, let's start our procurement things, and see how we can get it. Is 8 weeks the maximum? Can it be done in 6 weeks? Can it be done in a month? You understand? What can be done quickly? I mean, can we go to Nigeria? Can Nigeria supply us within a month? Whatever it is. How much supply do we have there? I think one of the things that the NDC have to do is to be very open with us and say, this is how much we were left, okay? And Grandpa can come and say it was not true or whatever. But this is how much we were left. It will cover us for this. These are the places that the lights will go off. The children asked us to bring our own timetable, okay? These are the places that the lights will go off. This is how we're going to do it. This is Nigeria will supply us, or whoever will supply us. It will come in a month. And in a month we would have, and maybe this will go on for the next 3 months. So let's expect this to go on for the next 3 months, and this is how we would live. Okay. I think that when they are open and transparent with us and all the processes, and we can all look at a time clock and things that are happening, we will our impatience will not be so much with the NDC. I think discerning Ghanaians know that the NDC have only been in power for 3 days or whatsoever. And so if there's a crisis today and tomorrow, the lights that were off yesterday in places, the lights that were off in Adenta on the 7th, does not necessarily mean it's not the NDC's fault. We know who to blame for that. But I think that, basically, let's start thinking of how this experience will not happen to us again.
Nanea Chimpinjanto, you've been with the PRC. I mean, Public Utility and Regulatory Commission. After you transition out of regulation, etc., and that mainstream, you even went into civil society activism for the sector with COSECA. Apart from just being a mainstream politician. So your experience is very vast, PURC regulation, the sector, downstream, etc., upstream as well. You look at what the standard operating procedures were, something definitely was not done right.
Yes, exactly. Let me say congratulations to the Honorable Julius Debra for his appointment as the Chief of Staff. A very great man, a very wonderful person, and a very efficient person. I agree with, that's what, you see, the whole of last night, my heart was broken. It was broken because I was, how can this happen? I then said, how can we get here? And especially the fact that the MPP kept saying that Dumso will be back. Nobody really found out what mechanism they were going to use to bring Dumso back.
How do you mean? You mean this was orchestrated?
No, I'm just saying that they were not, they had lost and they knew they were losing, but they said Dumso will be back. So I was like, what are they going to do to bring Dumso back? Do you get it? In their case, they said the yes was Dumsisi. But if your rival is nice to you, it doesn't mean that your rival likes you.
If your rival
is nice to you, it doesn't mean that your rival likes you.
It doesn't mean that your rival likes you. That's a profound statement.
Yes.
What do you mean by this?
I am just saying I'm going with Auntie Susie here. Oh, let me say good morning and Happy New Year to my auntie and my sisters. I'm going with Auntie Susie here to say that if your opponent assures you that he has purchased or he's put in place the processes of purchasing crude oil, you should let him show you the document that is covering the purchase.
So the NSC should have been monitoring
that's one
the transaction.
You should let them, because you go through a process and there's documentation at every step of the way, especially at the background that your opponent kept saying that when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama takes office, there will be Dumso. So this one is like the I don't care syndrome. That the MPP didn't really care. Do it and let's see. And they didn't think that at the back of it, they will be hurting Ghanaians. You get it? Because Kappa, a very fine gentleman, I was surprised at his statements. And it means the anger of the MPP is quite deep. That he managed it so Honorable John Jinapo should manage it. Yesterday, I found out from my calls around the sector that Sem Power has only, as at last night, had only 6 hours crude cover.
Stock?
Yes.
6 hours?
Yes.
Sem Power?
Sem Power. That's what I was told yesterday. If they are wrong, I am also wrong. So at the transition team, there was the need to dig deeper. You see, when you are dealing with your opponent, at that point, the person might be your brother, your sister, but you are not cronies. Because your interest at that point is different. What you are interested in is different from what I am interested in. As long as the interests are different, you do not rely on anybody's assurances. Otherwise, you go wrong. And you see, I'm saying that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama coming into power, he should start looking for the landmines in all the sectors.
Which will be the landmines then?
You can't. This is one landmine that we have just plunged into.
You are saying that they set traps for the new government?
Yes.
Traps?
Yes. These are landmines, serious. So you see, it is orchestrated. You hear the MPP talking. This, you see what we will do to you. We are not going to make it easy for you. You see, when a tiny tot tells you that, they will slap you. A tiny tot in Parliament over less than 100 members, they said they will slap you.
Tiny tots?
Yes. Then you should know and find out what is behind them. What is the plan? Do you understand me? Because look at the numbers, it's not much, but they are so, you see, when they speak, they have a lot of confidence in themselves, saying that we are not going to make it easy for you. They were in government before you came. What are the landmines? So right now, the government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama should start looking at landmines. You have the transition report, you need to go beyond it. Because I was saying that when you, from my experience at the energy sector, sometimes the utilities will bring you reports that if you don't have the expertise to unravel what they are saying, you might not know what exactly is in there. So, going forward, there is the need for us to really look at the transition notes. Sometimes some of the things might not even be there. So as you step wherever you are going, you have to look for the landmines. Otherwise, by the time everybody realizes, the government will be firefighting, catching fire here and there, trying to get fire tenders to put off the fire that will be coming out. You see, there is also systemic problems. Systemic problems whereby, why do I say that? it should not lie with government to buy crude oil for the sector. We should find a tariff structure to cater for fuel as included in the tariff. It might short the tariff up, but there should be ways. We should sit down around the table and think through how we can remove that burden from the shoulder of government. Because if you are doing, the MPP was doing $55 million, I think, every month or so for crude to support the sector. Why has this happened? Because at a point, the MPP said that they have reduced tariffs. And when they reduced that 20% tariff, they then noticed that it brought a gaping revenue shortfall, a deficit. And that deficit was now the responsibility of the government to show up. So anytime they said things like, oh, His Excellency Mahama signed PPAs, that, I mean, we are paying for it.
You mean IPPs?
Yes, the
Agreement.
PPAs.
The PPAs,
Yeah,
okay, power purchase agreement.
I always ask them the question, which of the plants has these PPAs that are not being used? Because before a PPA is signed, you have to look at all the commercial arrangements, and that IPP is put in the grid. So that tariff will be in the tariff of the general tariff of the PURC. So if there is a PPA that the plant is sitting idle, you don't pay anything. But they said they are paying for PPA. I was a bit surprised at it, but I mean, I asked them for the plants. They couldn't even mention the plant. They kept mentioning America. I said, America is in the tariff. Then they mention Kappa. I said, Kappa is in the tariff. So which one are you talking about? So this political thing about we will reduce tariffs, that is what brought about most of these issues. So going forward, I believe that with the systemic listing, we should get that fuel into the tariff so that that burden is lifted off. But as it stands now, I believe that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the team should immediately uncap ESLA.
You should uncap it?
Immediately. Because ESLA was put together by us. I was part of the team.
You were part of the team
yes,
that put together?
Yes, with my boss, Mr. Sapon. We were all there. So to ESLA to make sure, my boss, Mr. Sapon, was the lead person, to make sure that the inflows from ESLA is used to deal with some of these things. So there is stabilization. Looking at whatever I have here, it means that the picking will be for a period of 3 weeks. I heard that Nigeria has been magnanimous enough to shift the picking to February, which will give us maybe some leeway to be able to make all the commercial arrangements concerning the fuel. But because I am happy because Bola Tinubu, His Excellency Bola Tinubu Ahmed, came here and said that I am a door away. I am ready to support
So
you.
there's an opening?
There's an opening. So I believe that that kind of opening is going to help. Okay. But we should not rest. Because you see, now I heard buoys being run not as a picking plant, but as a base load. That's, you can now, buoy can be run 3 months continuous as a base load. Because it normally comes on at the peak period. The hydro is at full blast. They are drafting more than they can do. Then there's all of the hydro is being drafted very well. So it's maximization to help. But the shortfall is 1,000 megawatts. Which will
have to be rationalized in between the peak and off-peak periods.
Yes, so I am like, how do we do this? 1,000 megawatts is a lot of load. Even 300 megawatts bring problems to us. But all I am saying is that going forward into the future, we should not, listen to assurances. We need to have evidence to the assurances. You get me? So that, at the end of the day, Ghanaians will not go through what we are going through. I don't know that gas is coming from Nigeria. Maybe I'm a bit distant, but I don't know which plant, which pipeline. Or maybe they are bringing it just through the WAPCO because they have not They are not doing the maintenance.
Yet.
So
the maintenance will start
in February. They said in February.
20th of January.
No, they've
now rescheduled it. Okay.
That's what I hear. So then they will give us, the WAPCO will give us some gas. Then it means that we will have time to, deal with the issues with the fuel.
I've loved how you have exhibited your knowledge really in the industry, and it looks like you have a tap on this. And I think your experiences at PURC and with COSECA have all been brought to bear. And so far, our sources within the sector are indicating that you're right on SEMPA. Asogli so far has no stock.
Yes, Asogli has no
stock. Zero.
No stock, yes, zero. Asogli is
we wish
zero,
you
yes.
well.
Yes,
and then AXA has...
Have they been paid?
Well, they've been giving
some... That is also, yes, something has been given.
I will ask you, just, Ejapoma, let's look at the industry people, then we'll come to you. Then AXA has stock to last for 5 days.
Yes,
that's
AXA,
from key industry people. The top.
5 days, yeah.
And the plant at Kpong has stock that will last for a day. So let's assume it's 24 hours.
Yeah.
24 hours.
So
now,
it seems nothing was really done to put in place a contingency for the fuel to be purchased. And I don't know, is it because Bananado says he's left us some money. He said he's left some huge amounts of money for the country. So I don't know why. That is why
8 billion. I had 8 billion.
8 billion. So that is why everybody would think that this is, I told you so, I do not care, deliberate a landmine and all that. Because if truly you have that amount of money sitting, going through the purchases of crude oil should not be a headache for you, because you need a $19 million to do that. So I don't think it should be anything that you cannot do. $90 million, maybe 1 point something.
Or nearly 1.5 billion?
A billion Ghana cedis. And if you take it out, it will not be much. So I do not know. But you see, it is a huge amount, considering what our country is. So we need to really, as a matter of urgency, restructure our tariffs.
The burden should not be on government, no, you say. That's your proposition.
Yes, but the burden should not be on government.
All right. Adjoa, knowing that the purchase order, as made, takes 4 weeks for arrival of the item or the supply, I mean, just talking about stock and purchases, perhaps how then do we connect that to what it looks like the communication here and the concern is here from the stakeholders, especially Dr. Susan Edouard-Mankwa and then also Nanaya Chimpim Jantwa, that perhaps your side of the transition team should have kept their eyes more open?
Well,
very lax.
I'll say that I appreciate all contributions on this table, but I must reject with uncertain terms, the blame on the NDC for trusting, because from where I sit, our trust or mistrust during the transition period does not really do anything to the process, because even during the transition period, we still have a government in place, we still have a minister who is supposed to supervise some of these things, and as they are in power, they have to give you what the status is through their handing over notes and their reports. And I came to understand that even Mr. Herbert Scrapper, who is, writing on social media actively now, was not even present, was not attending transitional, the transition meetings. He wasn't present, he wasn't showing up because he was dodging from being asked questions. And how even the NDC got to know that the scheduled maintenance period that was supposed to take place in October had been rescheduled to January. It was through our own ways, through some people from
your
Gridco,
own sources.
Our own sources. So we found out ourselves. It wasn't like they put it in their handing over notes and gave it to us. We went to find out, and we insisted that they make, they kickstart the procurement processes, which they did not. I believe that we have gotten to a point in Ghana here where we should call wickedness by its name. We should call insensitivity by its name. And when we give power to people to manage our resources and they fail, we should be able to call them out. And I understand that Ghanaians now see the NDC in a certain light. It's just like being at home with an older sibling. There's always, that high expectation of the older sibling to behave and do better. And so even when the younger sibling has done something wrong, there's the tendency to, blame the older sibling. And I heard it in Madam's speech, like we don't trust the NPP. They do not know how to manage the energy sector. They have proven that they cannot do it. And so the NDC should have done more. I appreciate that trust that has been reposed in us as a party, but also it is important for us to highlight the fact that there were people who were not just incompetent, they were intentionally and deliberately being wicked and making sure that they play politics with the livelihoods of the people of Ghana. And Ghanaians must know that there were things to be done, they refused to do it. So whether we trusted them in the transition period or not, we were not in the position of power. We were not in the ministry. We even had to use our own means to find out some of the things we're doing so that we'll be able to address it.
Now that we're here, we're told that we can have some reprieve because we've had some discussion based on a committee of the stakeholders, either in government and then also industry put together. What do you think should be now the immediate action that needs to be taken for people to be held more culpable or responsible for not taking the action that they needed?
Oh, you mean action in terms of the previous government and maybe their dereliction of duty or that? Oh, yes, why not? I mean, we need to look at the whole. We also have to look at it that we have technocrats in place, okay? I mean, what role do the technocrats play? Because they are the ones who are supposed to also, support the politicians, okay, to make the right decisions. I mean, this country should be able to run even with the technocrats without having the politicians all over the place. You get it. So what kinds of advice did the technocrats give? So if anybody, there's dereliction of duty anywhere in that chain, I mean, I think people ought to be called out, and if we can sanction them, we should do that. Okay. And what we have to do is that we must get to the root cause of all this, and from that root cause, make sure we put into place corrective actions that prevent it from happening again. You get it. So let's look at it. We don't want this situation. We don't want it to happen to any other government coming into power. But apart from that, we don't want it to happen during the course of any government's time or when they are in administration. And so what can we do to make sure that we don't have this power crisis? Is it that we have to look at our tariffs? Maybe yes. Is it that we have to look at the way we manage things? Yes. Do we have to look at energy conservation? Yes. Can we look at ways where we can use other renewable energy, and so that we don't rely on crude power and all those things? We need to look at all this really well, you understand, and have the political will to do the right things, because we know that there are players in the system who thrive off the chaos, okay, who will make some money off it. So maybe they don't want us to have renewable power in terms of hydro, in terms of solar and wind, etc., etc. You understand? I think that we're talking about wanting to create jobs. We are talking about wanting to put more money into people's pockets. Energy is one of the things that will help us. Industrialization requires that we have energy. And so it's important that we look at it like that and make sure that we put in place structure that does not allow people to do the things that we are seeing now. So yes, we've gotten the experience. We must learn the lessons, and we must make sure that we don't come to this point again. And of course, like I said, our technocrats, if they gave advice and the advice was not taken, there should be a paper trail to that, so that we can call out people properly. You understand? So that the technocrats, that we wrote memos, we said this, we did that, we did our part. It was left for the same. But like Nane I said, maybe we need to take, some of the purchasing away from the government. The IPPs are being fed with the crude oil. Maybe we need to look at those agreements. Maybe they should be buying their own crude. You understand? They should buy their own crude to supply us the power, and we pay for it, and find ways and means of making sure that we pay for it. Because with the MPP's misgovernance or mismanagement, we were supplying the oil to the IPPs, and yet we're not paying them for service. You understand? Let's look at that. What was wrong with all that? And then maybe, like we said, take the purchasing away from government and make sure that the IPPs purchase and find ways and means of paying for the whole service. You understand? I think that's the way.
Lorato, so right now, what should be done to the minister?
To which minister?
The outgoing energy minister. He really
gave
his word, but didn't work on his word.
Please, let's not behave as if running a country is run on the whims and caprices of individuals. There are laws, there are standards, there are industry practices that guide the workings of institutions in this country. I mean, there are public servants who are what Doc is talking about as the technocrats, and they are the political appointees who go in there to make sure that what the government, whilst campaigning, then the promises and the policies that were promised the good people of Ghana are implemented within the standards and the rules and regulations. Aparo, all governments or all parties went to this election not making promises in the vacuum. At least I can speak for the MPP on that. Maybe it was different from other people. We made promises. Those promises were documented in manifestos.
What are you talking about?
Please, let me finish my point. We made suggestions and recommended the energy mix and all that. Other ways of enhancing our energy sector. But that has to be shelved for now, because the good people of the Republic of Ghana went in for the NDC and what they said. Let's go to the abridged manifesto of the NDC. And I'm going to read the first bits under Energy for Sustainable Development.
They said, crude purchases.
Paparo, why are we talking about this?
Yeah, because an action was supposed to have been taken.
Sector? So
and then assurances were given at the transitional committee table.
Mismanagement, we are talking about.
And then the purchases have not been made.
Paparo, if you let me finish, I'm sure we can all have a conversation. We are talking about things not being done. We are talking about mismanagement. These are things we heard during the campaign, and I don't think we should be hearing now. What they put in their manifesto under sustainable energy was that they then said the failed MPP government, which I disagree, has supervised the near collapse of the energy sector through the mismanagement of critical funds, ineptitude, uncontrolled corruption, nepotism, and state capture.
You're reading from?
From the NDC abridged manifesto.
Why are you reading this?
I'm reading it to build my point. As a result, the energy sector is engulfed in suffocating debt, declining oil production, and increasing transmission and distribution inefficiency. Yes. You can go further down. They knew all the challenges, right? They put this in their manifesto. After election, they won. There was a transition team put together. You had already put this in your manifesto, and you couldn't probe to get the details. There are documentations there. There are things that have been done. Nobody does anything in this country.
So how do you mean? John Jinapor,
procurement,
who was at the transition team discussions, especially on the subject of the energy sector, said assurances were given by the outgoing minister. At the time, post-election, there was a time about less than a month.
He took assurances.
The assurances were given by the energy minister who undertakes day-to-day administration and supervision of the sector.
The conversation, for the sake of the conversation we are having
here. Lorato, so let me ask you.
Paparo,
let me ask you. We're not fighting. We're not fighting.
Oh,
so let me ask you. Let's say you are the minister.
Paparo, I think that's an unfair.
Let's take it that you are the minister.
You and I don't fight.
No, we're not fighting.
So
because
why would
I think
you say we are not fighting?
Okay. Let's take it that this is the transitional committee meeting on energy.
Yes.
You are the minister.
Yes.
I am John Jinapo.
Yes.
And then I noticed that, or I asked a question, for the various producers of power, what stock of fuel do they have? You tell me A and B. Then I tell you that, well, it looks like there are shortages. Then you assure me that you will kickstart the processes for supply by issuing the letters of credit, etc., for purchases to be made. It takes 4 weeks. And I noticed that as power is handed over to the government, the purchases are not made. Who has reneged on their promise and then breached issues of trust?
Bro, the transition went on for how many days? It went on for
I think about 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Almost a month, right. Did you read the joint release for the spokesperson on government side and the spokesperson on the incoming now government side? You put in your manifesto that a failed government already, even before you come into, even before you win an election, and for the sake of the conversations we are having here, you put this in your manifesto and said there was a near collapse. And the person that you claim has no clue about what has to be done. You took assurances from the person. Does that even make logical sense? That you put this in your manifesto and you now turn around and tell us that that same person who you said had collapsed the system, has mismanaged the system, gave you assurances and you accepted and you went to sleep on that assurance. Does that make logical sense?
I don't understand. Are you saying that if the outgoing energy minister gives John Jinapo an assurance that he will kickstart
the same energy
process?
Minister they are claiming didn't come for transition meetings, gave him assurances?
Yes,
so
it's a team. That's what he says.
How do we reconcile that?
That's
the
what
minister
he didn't
come for transition meetings
I am not saying,
gave assurances.
I am not saying that Henry Crapper was there. I'm saying John Jinapo says
that the minister wasn't at meetings.
Let's not double in semantics. The assurances were given by the outgoing team, and those assurances were not carried out. That's all I'm asking.
No, what I'm saying
you've gone on to read NDC Manifesto.
Exactly, that's what
you've dabbled in all the things. But I'm saying that the assurances of the purchase was not carried out.
What we have to be using.
If you were the outgoing minister and your response was what was on Facebook, how would you feel?
Paparo, the outgoing minister, or should I say immediate past minister, we are being told was not coming for transition meetings. This same minister is purported to have given assurances to people who said in their manifesto that this government had failed. The immediate past government has failed. It has mismanaged. It has collapsed the system. And you still went and took assurances from such a team. Isn't that curious?
Are you saying there shouldn't be any transitional arrangement?
Please, I haven't said that. There's a reason why there's transition. That is supposed to aid the handing over process, because whatever we are supposed to do in this country is governed by rules and regulations, laws that are enacted, the Constitution, laws that are enacted at Parliament, and all other relevant legislations. So how do we reconcile it? The NDC went into this election, promised the people of Ghana, it's in their manifesto, it's in the 120-day social contract. It is in their youth manifesto that was launched in August 2024. Now they've added another document from oral There's another committee on energy thing. That is what we are going to be holding them for. If they think that anybody in the previous administration has done anything untoward, there are remedies and processes for all those things. And those things must be faced. We sat in this country when the New Patriotic Party lost power in 2008, and more than 30 people were accused of doing things that didn't conform to them. How many of them were guilty? They've started all those propaganda again. It's a matter of the nation. Let's put this country first. You've been given a mandate by the good people of Ghana.
Your transitional side, your side of the transitional team did not put Ghana first. I mean, obviously, because there's no fuel. Anyway,
stop this mischief.
What do we do?
Please stop this mischief.
There's no mischief, please. And I'm serious with that. You talked about putting Ghanaians first.
Yes.
The first thing that
your side did not. Please.
The last transition.
The first
Thank you.
thing that I do,
Thank you, Loretta.
I appreciate, and I would. Yesterday, when I heard the news, I said that His Excellency Mahama knows what to do because he has been there before. And whatever I said came true. I saw the meeting going on, and I said that this is a good one. And when it comes to these things, you immediately, call a stakeholders meeting to really see how you can resolve the matter. The issue is also that, which team? The team, if the minister did not attend the meetings, so then you cannot depend on the assurances of the public servants because they are not in charge of the government purse. Do you get me? So next time, going into the future, we should, as we've already said, and I'm talking about it. I'm talking about boundary spanning. I believe that the government should start building some blocks for boundary spanning. Boundary spanning is the practice of connecting internal and external networks to share information and knowledge and to solve problems.
Why is this important?
It's important because as you do your internal publics, you also see the external, if they use this boundary spanning, the systems theory, as a tool to get information, they would have been able to get information from the external. That is, even some people in Gridco, VRA, you could just, talk to them, you've been voted for, and find out reality, find out what is going on. That is one discipline. You can send anybody to do that checks for you. Because if you are in government and you are in a situation or in a position and you ignore boundary spanning, using your internal and using only your internal networking, and forgetting about your external networking, then it's going to be problematic. When I was in PULC, we used a lot of boundary spanning. And most of our boundary spanning, especially the media, was key in our boundary spanning. As even when we did the tariff or we had an intention of a certain figure in mind, we used the media to span and our own teams to go around to find out what is really
through
accepted.
engagement.
Through engagement. Even apart from, you can do one-on-one, you can speak to people to find out to find out exactly what the people are looking for. This one must not happen again. And certain things should not be said. If assurances are given and the minister wasn't there, who gave the assurance? You don't depend on lower teams to give you an assurance and you agree to it. So the point is that as it stands now, I believe that this crisis management team that they have put together is going to do some work. But you see, if Laratu says that the NDC manifesto talks about the system not doing well, the energy sector not doing well, it has come up. This shows that whatever the NDC said it's clear.
That's manifested.
It has manifested, so because it has. But you said something, and you see, it has manifested clearly. Do you get me? What we are seeing today is a manifestation of negligence, of incompetence, of I do not care.
Negligence, incompetence,
and I don't care. I don't care. You get me? That is what it is. So whatever that NDC. I don't eat in the night also. The point is that whatever was said in the NDC manifesto as it's manifesting, you get me? We are in a crisis.
Okay.
And that is exactly what it is.
All right. You took me to my marketing communication class today. Oh, you lecture? It looks like you're an industry, all-round industry. But we haven't had time to talk about the inauguration. Because just swiftly after the inauguration, we've seen we're told members of your party invading. You know, it's almost like every transition we try to do that. Post 2000 we see it as well. And then we saw it post 2008. Post 2000 we saw post 2000. Post 2016 we saw it as well, and we're seeing it again. But I mean, I think as stakeholders we need to talk about it. But the inauguration, and then you talk a bit about that. I give you 3 minutes for that.
Yes,
fantastic.
About people invading, there's no evidence to prove that they are NDC members. Like Madam is saying, arrest anybody who invade any place to loot anything. Because there are also narratives that there are some dissatisfied members of the NPP who feel they did not get anything all 8 years, and so they are using the opportunity to also loot. So let's investigate and arrest the culprits. But that said, I'll say that on Tuesday, I was present myself at the Independence Square, Black Star Square, if you want. And it was a very beautiful ceremony. I'd like to commend the organizers, and especially Chairman Stan Dogbe, for a beautiful work done and set up. And what we witnessed on Tuesday was like a great history. And I, for one, I was very excited to be part of it and to witness it with my eyes. And among everything, the speeches were great and inspiring. The kente, the display of culture. I saw the dancers from Volta region, the Agbaja dance, the Kete dance, and all of that. It was a rich display of culture and all of that. That said, I must say that there is one thing that perhaps we are not really paying attention to, which is the fact that a record was broken and set. Since Ghana became a republic in the 1960s, this is the first time ever we are having a female vice president. And I know that such glass ceilings, similar ones have been broken by other women, where in 2007, I think my Lady Justice, Georgina Wood, was made the first Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. And in 2009, I think we had the first female Speaker of Parliament, the person of Madame Joyce Adeline Bamford-Addo. And now we have our first female vice president in a person of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. And watching them up the stage, looking at the president, looking at the vice president, looking at the Speaker of Parliament and the Chief Justice, you can see a fair balance in gender. And to me, it was beautiful. And what was achieved by Ghana on 7th, that is, we having our first ever female vice president, was very inspiring to me as a young woman. Today, we know in Ghana that our dreams are without boundaries. If you're a woman, a girl child who seek political leadership in this country, you know that because Her Excellency, the Vice President, Professor Jena Opoku-Agyeman, have been able to achieve this, we also can do that and even more and better. So, and like I say, on the streets, we call her the Woman King because... You call her the Woman King? The Woman King, yes, because, I mean, like we say, she's the first of many things. First female Vice President of this country. She was the first female Vice Chancellor for UCC, and she's achieved quite a lot. The other time, I tried to look at her CV, and it was about 50-page documents. Yeah, a 50-page document. So she's a woman of many sides, and for what she has achieved and what we all have achieved as Ghanaians by making her our first Vice President, I am excited. Dr. Susan Iduamonkwa, what do you make of the inauguration, subsequently, all the reports
okay, so
of the entries?
We'll start with the reports. We still have a cool mentality in this country. I mean, it's a cool mentality. You know, my party is in power, and then
the bulk of young people. The last time they heard of a coup would be in the history books.
No, but that was what was happening when the
maybe my generation.
When the CDRs went over and took over. I mean, it happened at GTP. They went, they took over, they beat the managers, they took over. Of course, they couldn't handle it.
Post 81? Huh? Post 81.
Yeah. you know, it won. They beat the managers up, took over the company and started running the company, and were running it down. So they had to hand over back to the management of the. I mean, they did it, the PWDs and whatever. We still haven't come out of that, and so. You know, we go, we vote, you know, and then people say my party is in power, and they go and they.
Is the problem not the winner takes all?
Yeah, it's part of the winner takes all syndrome, which we say we must move away from. You understand? The winner takes all is not serving us well, so we must move away and be more embracive. And I think that President Mahama has a unique opportunity to stop it once and for all. If the security forces are reluctant to go and stop the people because they are waving party cards, he should tell them that he's not going to tolerate this one bit. He should set the tone now. You understand? Those people who have gone to Cocoa Board and gone to raid the place and they should kick them out. If they want to make appointments later, that's all well and good, and must go through the proper channels, Public Services Commission, etc. Right now, we will not allow thugs to do that. And any government who comes and allows that, we will remember and punish you somewhere along the line. Our tolerance for such nonsense is wearing thin. You understand? They should go, all those people, whether Ghana, Gas, or wherever, your party is in power, so what? This country belongs to all of us. We're all Ghanaians. Whether MPP, NDC, whatever. If people are there and are not there in the proper manner, you understand? Yes, we should get them out. But it is not for you to go there and do an illegal thing with when already an illegal thing has been done. You get it. So I think that must stop. Taking over toilet. I mean, really taking over all those things, going to district assemblies and taking is wrong. And we must stop it because we must get to the point where we mature. Then coming to the issue about the inauguration. It was a beautiful thing.
Were you invited?
No, I was not. But that is not important. I watched it on TV, so I was invited as a Ghanaian to watch it. The thing is, we are proud of our culture. We must build on our culture. We must export our culture. We must let people see it. I would have been happy to see less men in suits and more in Africa, because the women were beautifully attired in their kente.
And I don't understand. The men were not looking nice.
Oh no! I mean, they were okay. I mean, they were okay as they go.
Oh, you're just praising again as a woman.
I'm saying that let's move away from the suits. You understand? This is an opportunity that we could have won. The president set the tone with his agbada. We could have won more smokes. We could have won more of our kente, to show. What is that? Yes. You stop doing your hands the way you're doing. I'm saying
there's gender discrimination.
Okay, so whatever you want
Paul
to call
Kagame
it.
wore African shirt.
Paul Kagame, I've never seen him wear anything but suits, so that's a different thing. We're not talking about the foreigners, we're talking about the Ghanaians who were wearing their suits. So we could have moved away from that to show more kente, etc. But yes, girl power, we're looking, it was good to see. I think the gay girls are rubbing it in, one gay girl swearing in another gay girl, which is nice. I want to see more of that. But we still have, 39 female MPs in a parliament of 276? That's 14%. That is woefully inadequate. We want the critical numbers. It's not just enough to have a few women at the top. We want to see the critical numbers. Like we said, we're a population of 51%. Equity. 51%. You cannot have a democracy when 51% of the people are underrepresented at the table. You are fighting. It doesn't send the right signals. It doesn't send the right signals. And the thing is that you will not have the development you want with one hand tied at your back when your population are not in place. So, yes, beautiful inauguration. We hope that the beautiful inauguration means a beautiful term of office for us Ghanaians. It's like a wedding, but the marriage should be good. So we liked the wedding, we want the marriage to be good.
You're a romantic. I love that about you. And after chastising us the men, you said that great democracy and good display of culture and pride. And Loratu, what would you make of this? The inauguration and subsequently the invasions we're seeing.
Oh, the inauguration was was a beautiful ceremony, no doubt about that. I mean, it came out really well. But with respect to the invasions, it was wrong yesterday. It should be wrong today. we also need to understand how governance works. There are career public servants and there are political appointees. These are the people that make whatever you bring as your policies or your promises to Ghanaians to fruition based on the supervision. How long will a minister be in the ministry? How long will the deputy minister be in the ministry? How long would any other appointees be in the ministry? These are the people who have the mandate until they do something untoward, have the mandate to serve till 60 years, and depending on your expertise and your level, you could be given a 2-year renewable contract. I think you can do up to 5 years. So let's say 65. So it's wrong. Violence has never solved anything before. Vandalism has never solved anything before. Whatever you mess up in those people's homes, it's taxpayers' money. They are state people. With regards to the female bit of our political dispensation, I mean, we have a lot of work to do as women in politics or women in leadership in this country. Congratulations to the Vice President. I mean, that's a feat well choked. But not to sound pessimistic, listening to stories from times before some of us became politically aware till now between presidents and their vice presidents, we pray this one is different, because this is the first time we're having a female, but the stories between presidents and vice presidents haven't really been very pleasant. No, please. Doc, you know what I'm talking about.
Speaking from experience.
You know what I'm talking about. You know better than I do. I mean, we've had stories in this country where presidents have slapped vice presidents and all that, and it's improving. I mean, we had a different kind of.
But with progress.
Of course.
So
let's be more optimistic.
Dr. Bawumia's personality and his level of humility made a difference in his relationship.
The professor doesn't have a personality.
No, I don't know.
She was the first female vice chancellor for University of Cape Coast.
Her personality.
She carved a reputation for herself.
Papa Rowe, let me finish.
Okay, please go ahead.
I don't know her personally, but observing her from afar and what those close to her have said, she's chopped a lot of first. She's done great for herself. But this is politics. Okay, I know you are just trying to get, but look, we need to be very, women in leadership, women in politics in this country, we have a lot of work to do. I mean, we had 40 MPs in parliament, now we have 39. Then it was 275, now it's 276. So the percentage is even lower. And if you go further, UN Women released a statement on the 19th of December. Out of 31 direct elections, only 5 women came out as presidents of their countries. And when you look at the percentage in terms of representation in parliament, it remained at 27%. So we have a lot of work to do as women in leadership and women in politics. And I hope that this first will be the beginning of that effort.
Inauguration and...
Every time I am the last person, and when I say today I'll say everything before we close.
Yes. You say you're in 4 minutes.
What's the 4 minutes? So you see, congratulations to Her Excellency, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman. You know, we had 2 Opokus as running mates, Opoku Prempeh and Opoku-Agyeman. Opoku-Agyeman has won. It is not easy to be a female in the midst of men. Do you get me? I've been there before. I was the first female general secretary of a political party in Ghana. Do you get me? And what you go through as a woman, what is she talking about? What you go through as a woman is not easy. Let us talk, I'll reply her. And she has broken the ceiling, and she said that she's now giving way for other women to follow. And I want to see the day that you have a female president holding the sword of authority in this country. It's a day that I want to see. One thing, the setting was beautiful, everything was nice. The colors were Ghana's flag and Ghana was united. There was a lot of orderliness, it wasn't chaotic. I was happy with the number of presidents who showed solidarity to come and be with His Excellency. And I was more enthused with the way he had a personal relationship with all of them. Either he will hug you. From the French countries, they kissed their cheeks. That is how they greet in the French-speaking countries. Others, they hugged, and he had a word for each and every one of them. And I also saw Johnson Sirleaf. It was so good that no matter how frail she was, she wanted to come and witness this momentous occasion. I mean, that day was a great day. That His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, after everything they have said about him, today stood as the President of Ghana. But one thing that I saw that was interesting was the smile of the Chief Justice.
Another great female leader, leading the judiciary.
The smile of the Chief Justice. That was the first time I saw the Chief Justice smile into the face of His Excellency John Dramani.
What are you trying to say?
I am trying to say that because for her facial expression with His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, that always sits with me is the day that we went to the Pentecost program.
The Pentecost Convention Center.
Pentecost Convention.
That event.
And when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was speaking, the way she contorted her face and looked at him. But today I saw her smile directly, even not smile, laugh into the face of His Excellency John.
I don't understand. What are you trying to imply?
I'm just trying to imply that then it shows that there is a new dawn, really. That today the Chief Justice smiled, laughed, had a broad smile. She was even more excited than Her Excellency Jena Nopokwajiman when she was swearing her in.
You are saying she's conforming.
I don't know what she was doing. It's either she was under some strict subjugation and now the oppressor has left her, or she was, I don't know. I also didn't see, you see, you are begging them to give me time. I also didn't see Jean Mensah and her team. I thought that I would see them there. I did not see them there. But Auntie Susan, I want to assure you that I believe His Excellency John Dramani Mahama would include most people outside his government, because he started with the word inclusivity.
Like you.
And he ended with the word inclusivity. Do you get me? So I do not think that everybody should be scared that it is going to be like that. It is not good enough for people to take over offices. It is not, that gendarme kind of thing should stop. We should educate our grassroots to understand that there is a proper way of doing it. I mean, you cannot even say it is NDC. It can't be any group of people. But whichever group of people that it is,
it's not justified.
We should justify. But one thing I want to say, Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to do, otherwise me, myself, I'll go to court, is to restore the 1st of July as the Republic Day.
You should restore the 1st of July as the Republic Day.
Because you see, because the 1st of July is the day that we got independence proper. It is not the 6th of March. That is the day we became a republic. But because Namado and his cohorts didn't like Kwame Nkrumah, they decided to change the trajectory of history and make 7th January as a holiday, a Founders Day or whatever.
That's okay.
The Constitution Day, the 4th August.
Constitution Day.
Yes.
So the 4th August.
So
that Constitution Day.
And I also want to say, and I also agree with my senior Comrade Kwesi Pratt, that Ghana, we don't have republics, 4th Republic. No, we have a Republic of Ghana. What, even if there is a coup d'etat, the Republic is not gone. It is still the Republic of Ghana. So I beg His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, he should, as a matter of urgency, let Parliament restore 1st of July. That is the day we got our sovereignty. That is the day that Ghana was Ghana, that we could call ourselves Ghana. We got our currency on that day. We got our national anthem. We got our flag, our everything, our crest, the coat of arms. So we beg him, we should restore that day. For nothing at all, for the honor of his father, E.A. Mahama, who was part of the people who made sure that we got this Republic Day. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you for landing.
One thing. Some of my friends are texting me. They're saying I look slow this morning. They're concerned if I'm sick. I'm not sick. I slept at 2 a.m. and woke up at 4
You went to the party, you didn't invite Nanea and the rest.
So I'm just
you didn't
slept
even
for 2
invite us.
hours and for like 48 hours.
All right,
I'm
understandable.
not sick.
We forgive you.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. It happens all the time. Fatigue once you don't get to sleep. But for those who have given us messages, and we have to thank you very much. So let me just go through a couple of them. We have a couple of them on our stream. And thank you for always sticking with us throughout the period. We're almost grateful all the time for those comments. This one is coming from Money Money. He says that the former Minister of Energy should be prosecuted. Well, I don't know under which law. Usually, you only call delinquents out, usually. And more importantly, we have more messages coming in as well. This one, Jesse Boako, marketing expert, the Department of State Protocol, Republic of Ghana, need to be given credit for the colorful events before and after the swearing-in ceremony at the Blaster Square, not individual. Let's give credit where credit is due. So State Protocol Department, credit as well. And so I hope that that puts everything to rest. And
That's a good one. I want Roland to read this.
This one is coming from Dr. Ali. Good morning. The CJ may have been smiling to Vice President because they were Wegehe mates.
She went to get her also.
I hope you heard they end with live pure. And thank you, Doc. As always, I have this one coming from Nathaniel. Mr. Colley, good morning to you. Says, tell Loratu that the nation-wrecking tendencies coupled with sheer wickedness will keep them. Oh. Well, no, I have to sieve the messages. And then Richmond Sechi, good morning to you. Richmond Sechi says, why do you like wearing Ania Jantwa like that? She's my bigger mentor. You people, you don't know, we have great history. And then Kafui Yaudo, good morning to you, Kafui Yaudo. He says, good morning, great ceremony. I condemn all those actions into the premises, but then the Mosaic law must also be in place. Well, I don't know. An eye for an eye. Kafui Yaudo, I reprimand you. And you conclude, must Loratu play partisan politics with everything? She play politics with every single discussion. Look, the purchases for crude were not made, and that's the reality. No, the other one is not interested. Osei Boateng says, all the things that have happened also shows that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo did well. Posterity will certainly judge him. I know that he was a good president. And Bachman, CC Bachman, good morning to you. And he says, all that is happening, what's Loratu doing? You shouldn't be doing that. And then Ameto Kwamin says, the NPP's attitude in the energy sector and in many other sectors is not only super incompetent, sheer wickedness in trying to sabotage the new NDC government under President Mahama and to set it up for a failure, but their diabolical trap will fail. And then Roland, the minister being referred to was the Minister of Finance, not the Energy Minister, the transition team. Thank you for the correction. Okay. And then I have this one from Ajay Sapong, who says, this one from Ejiso, okay. It says that the minister, Crapper, was right. The MPP kept the light on, and that is the truth. And this is the reality. We're waiting for the John Mahama government to also keep the light on under any circumstance, whether difficult or not. Kwejo Chumbuafo, good morning to you. Engineer says, I just want to say hello to all the erudite ladies on your panel today. Mama Loratu, my favorite communicator this morning. Loratu, how buddy? You are still at it, oh. So you even read the NDC Youth Manifesto.
Oh, yes, I have to. That's what we are going to
Yes.
rely
And
on.
for all those who give up messages, money need money as well. Thank you, ladies. I've enjoyed. And please, next time if you get an invitation to the party, call me. And then also,
you are not invited
Ajwa,
to?
I don't have to be invited. And then,
should she
thank
be
you very much.
Why should Nana be invited?
I thought I would say, I mean, she's one of the leading technocrats and politicians we have, so there was nothing wrong with that.
So why not asking if Doc was invited?
Oh, no. I didn't. For you, I know you are an MPP. If they invite you, you won't go.
I'm Ghanaian.
Did you go to the inauguration?
I've never even been to MPP inauguration before.
Okay, so that's it. You are apathetic to Austin. But let me tell you about cash out. It goes with the shop code star 439. Star 439. Please give it a referral. In marketing, we have what we call referral. And then also the grand finale of Mentor 13, which is captioned the Rising Star Edition, is here. So make sure this Sunday you join us right here at the National Theatre in Accra at 8 p.m. for an unforgettable night of music, drama, and incredible performances from the finalists Romeo Swag, Robbie K, Ray Cooper, Jimmy, and AJ Tunes. Now, tickets are available for 50 Ghana cedis only at the frontages of Media General TV3 front desk. You also have to make sure you call the following lines if you want to get those tickets and you are not available to come to the front desk of TV3 or Media General 055 500 4105 or 020 899 8221. Don't miss the chance to be part of the excitement. Get your tickets now and witness history in the making at the Mentor 13 Grand Finale. Great one there. All right, Sampi Yali sent a message. He says, if the Osajefo had not been shamefully removed by, Ghana should have been using nuclear energy by now. You see how Nkrumah never dies. Well, we have to take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you the latest in sports, and the beautiful, intelligent ladies had kept me company. We're taking a break. Keep us company as well. We'll be right back.